Everyone, it's Colleen Gallagher with the Colleen Gallagher podcast. I'm super excited for you to tune in and receive the frequency. We are on episode 60, you guys. I am just blown away. And also the fact that we are at a 0 point with the guest that we have on today is just phenomenal. It works in mysterious ways, this universe. So the intention for this podcast, if you've never been, is for you to tune in and receive the frequency of things that I'm riffing on about my life or channeling or offering you for you to be able to have a better understanding of your reality. Or I co-create conversations with someone who I know, and we allow you to tune into teachings, another way to experience life, another way to make sense of your life, and so that you can walk away more fulfilled, happy, and in a better feeling state and higher frequency. But today's episode, I'm super excited because we'll be co-creating a conversation with someone who's very special and near to my heart. The intention for this specific conversation is for you to be a fly on the wall to expansive conversations, for you to receive the frequency and go on with your life integrated with new wisdom, teachings, and parting from the conversation with a sensational feeling of being in a higher frequency state. Now, before I introduce our guest, let me share a bit about her because this woman is incredible. And the list is ever growing of the things that she does and is and represents. So at age 17, she had a near-death experience where she lost an arm and almost a leg. And she remained awake during the whole process and experienced an altered state of consciousness that allowed her to choose a different future after receiving what she calls her second chance of being alive. She truly has devoted her life to creating conscious education platforms that help people use spiritual teachings in practical manners. She's a mother of 3, an artist, an owner of a phenomenal coaching company, an author of at least 7 books, I think it is, has multiple podcasts, founder of the International School of Futuring. She has studied under some of the most well-respected spiritual teachers in this planet, as well as almost every spiritual teaching. She has a documentary out called The United State of Mind. She has nonprofits and her own TV network called and her own TV network. To say that this woman does it all with so much grace, ease, and flow is an understatement. Before I introduce her, leaving you in suspense, mwahaha, I want to acknowledge today's podcast episode is brought to you by Omnia. Omnia is a travel booking platform that makes planning a journey to Europe and North America effortless. Just enter your details on Omio, O-M-I-O, will magically give you all the train, bus, flight, and ferry options for your journey. It's never been simpler to book your first real vacation for 2021. Best of all, using Omio saves you time and money. That's a win-win in our books. Omio wants to help you leave your house this summer by offering 5% off your next booking. Just head to omio.com, omio.com, and use the code LISTENER5 at checkout. It's valid until the 30th of June for new users on all modes of transport. It's just the pick-me-up 2021 needs. Omnio, plan, book, and love the journey. Terms and conditions comply. So with that, Miss Beautiful Yvonne De La Flor, welcome. I'm super excited to have you on this. And I'd love to probably just start with your journey of your arm and your leg and what that was, because we've got parts of you falling off, but you're awake and you're in another world. What's going on?
I love it. First of all, thank you for having me. You're amazing. I'm just watching you in awe of all the things you create. You are a creator in multiple levels, in multiple dimensions, always producing and creating things that matter and value. So for me, that's it's a great platform to be in, yours, but also a great soul space energy that you've generated. You are always contributing to humanity. You are a creator in humanity. You are not a taker. You are a giver, a producer, and I just love to be in your presence. And I love that it feels like my arm and my leg got invited it's the first time they get invited to a podcast, but I love to share that because yes, when I was 17, I had a near-death experience that I call near-life experience. That was my initiation into living. It was not the other way around. So for me, not only I had an accident, which really was an incident, where my arm was caught by the door. I was a co-pilot, and we crashed with in Mexico City in a place. It's all like there's a lila, there's a play of consciousness. It's all set up in ways that you either cry or laugh, but it's all like a divine play. And we crashed in a street called Barranca del Muerto, which means the street of the dead. I mean, in November 11, for those of you who are into 11/11 things, in the great alignment of the planets in 1989, it was just, it was like the perfect setup to have a near life experience. But we crashed with a wall, the closest street with a concrete wall. And there was a sign in the floor that we never saw that the street is closed. So we were driving really fast. We were on a downhill, and I was able to see the wall far away. I heard an inner voice saying, "Put your seatbelts on," because back then, I'm much older than you, Colleen. I'm almost 50, but I was 17. By then in Mexico, we didn't have to use seatbelts. It was not even, the police, nothing. It was optional, it was decoration devices. But I heard a voice, "Put your seatbelts on now," a very strong, potent voice. And there was no hesitation. We put it, and we crashed with that wall. There was a Holy Mother statue in the right, that I felt that my right arm was pulled in the direction of the statue, and it took us from being like direct impact into side kind of impact. My arm was caught by that door that was on the right side, and my leg came out. Literally, my femur. I was able to see my beautiful femur bone crossing my jeans. I had like denim wearing. So imagine, denim is strong. My femur was stronger. So I was the leg out, no arm. My arm was in the backseat of a car. I picked it up. I was able to, I did a motion like with my left hand. I felt like something was off, literally, you know, something is off. You know how we say that metaphorically? I feel something is off.
No, but something was really off.
This was literally off. I felt it, but I turned my head to the left, just to the little space that was in the car left, and there's my arm in the back seat, and now it's probably just no, there's no back seat. But I picked it up. I bring it back to my body, but I never saw it separate, Colleen. So when I touched my hand, a huge like fire kind of energy, like I felt a current of energy going through, coming from that cut arm into my left arm that was good. And it was like a circuit. It was like a Tai Chi, Qigong, like Shaolin Kung Fu moment where the whole energy like kind of activated something in me. And till this day, that energy, that fire, that light that came into my hand, I've done like more than 10,000 something rebirthings of people where I put my hand, that left hand, in their forehead, and they go into rebirthing. So the arm, that's the story of the arm. The story of the leg, it's there. They were able to put it back. I went to a hospital called the Angels. I mean, if I tell you, the whole setup is just perfect for hopefully one day writing the story. But in the hospital, they were able to sew back my arm. On call, there was a specialist on arm reconstruction, bones and nerves. The setup was, it was too perfect. I could relax. As soon as I arrived to the hospital, I knew God was in charge. And I had zero doubts in my mind of the future, of the continuation. I never thought of death, the fear of death released. So as my arm gets caught, the lessons begin, right? The awareness, the moment that I felt like the arm was not there, but I couldn't feel the disconnection. That's when I made a decision. I was going to live a life of purpose and mission. That was it. There was no doubt. So I carry with me the scar of that moment very proudly. It took me years because at the beginning, I was in a lot of vanity things. I love beauty. I loved brands. I love all that stuff. I was in a very huge leadership position since really young in my school or in my grades and everything. But I began to love the scar because it reminds me, whoa, you Vivon, not only have survived that, but thrived, and you're doing something good in life with it. I just ranted. But that was the story of the
No,
army.
I'm so happy you rant it. We know, for everyone who knows Yvonne does not rant very often. So this is like a get a rant out of Yvonne. I love that. It's like transferring my energy into Yvonne.
Totally. I'm feeling like, what's going on?
I
gotta go to LA to see you,
energy,
you know?
my dermatoma. So anyway, a couple things I want to tune into when you just said. So one, the fact that you said something about you had zero doubts in your mind, and this is 60th podcast episode. So we're at a 0 point. And I acknowledge that in the very beginning to then co-create the future in this moment, which is something that's really interesting of how quickly every word that you say matters, how it manifests. And so I love that. The other thing I really want to dive into with you, or I think it's important. So for those people who are kind of reading my third book now, they're going to kind of see the story of what you said of just everything was so set up. Like literally the card was mailed to me from this person I didn't even know, $245 gift card, like $245 worth of gift cards. And it was mailed to me, but like they bought the gift cards before I was even pregnant. Like there was no way to know all the things. And so it's like you said, when you begin to live your life in such a way that you understand you're just a vehicle that's outplaying a story. And then your only real mission is to find a way to artistically share that. And there's so many mediums and so many avenues to do that with. I think that's one thing you have done so beautifully in your life. I mean, the list of ongoing things I mentioned, but I didn't bring up the 10,000 rebirthing. And it was funny because I really thought about that. And I was like, do I put it? But I know for those of you who know Yvonne, she does not like what's this called? Like the bragging, right? So
That's right.
Yeah. So I want to go into that a little bit because I think what's a really important thread for us to talk about it, for people to hear from you is, you've been on this path for 40 years almost, right? Even more than that.
I'm going to turn 50 this year.
So, but you've almost 40 years you've been doing spirituality.
Yeah, like at 12, I started meditating.
So when you look at that, and when you look at 10,000 people that you have physically touched, like not even talking about your reach on all the platforms, your schools, your books, your this, like, I just want to go into opening that. Like, I don't even know where I want to go with it. I just feel like there's so much for someone who's listening here and they're in a corporate setting. They're kind of like, I know that there's something more in life. I know that there's this consciousness, there's channeling, but it's a little too woo-woo. Like, I still really like the business side, or I really like this side. You've done all of it in so many realms. So I just want to open it there to kind of how the magic has unfolded for you.
Yeah. So when I had, at 12 years old, I started meditating. I just felt the call. My grandfather dies when I'm 12 years old. And it's my first experience, my first encounter with someone close dying, and with death. The energy of death has always been very close to me. Obviously, I went through it and came back, or was sent back. But when my grandfather dies, he inherits to my mother his library. And his library was huge because he was a governor of a state. He established the public education system in Mexico. So when he inherits a library, it's not, hey, here are my 10 books. Here are 5,000 of the books of different sections of my huge library that was a public library. And my mom receives that donation. This is all building into the future of rebirthing and serving and creating. And the spirituality section doesn't fit in the little apartment of my mom. She puts it in my room. And I am so curious, and I already have a very strong connection with God since the age of 4. I was writing letters to God. I was drawing sacred geometry just instinctually. And the spirituality section is in my room. And there is the books, the Tao Te Ching, the Dhammapada, the Bible, the Torah. Every single possible religion, philosophy lands in my room at 12 years old. Yeah, simultaneously with the death of my grandfather, my first experience of that, and this whole books of every single philosophy were there. Osho, the Buddha, the Christ visiting India, every single thing. And I started reading. Which was interesting was that simultaneously to that, I also have, for some reason, in my room, the area of science fiction and Stephen King. So look at the play of the light and the shadow. Stephen King is a real, he wrote like Pet Cemetery and The It Clown, and so dark, so scary, and the Buddha. So I am immersed in that cultural energetics of spirituality since very young. And my parents have had divorced when I was 7, and that was a blessing, let me tell you, because in the blessing, my mother had to work. Of course, there were challenges. My dad was living somewhere else. But the space of aloneness that many children complain when they're adults, like I was alone all the time. For me, that aloneness was filled with this search, was filled with being not no one was ever gonna tell me, do not be like this, you have to be something else, because I was left in the wild, right? I was left in the wild. I was left in like what many people call alone. Poor me. For me, it was like, whoa, the Dhammapada, the Tao Te Ching, the Bible, the experiences of Jesus, the wandering and everything. So it kind of rebirthed my mind, right? It kind of birthed myself. I didn't have the awareness back then, but all of that began to prepare me, obviously, to die. Second, to face all the challenges. My mother was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis when I was very young. Also, like after the divorce, obviously, all that happened. So there's a lot of initiations in my life through death, disease, and divorce of my parents, and also the divorces I went through. But all of that, if you see, it's like a death and rebirth. Like existence is calling me, contraction. What are you going to do, Yvonne, with that expansion? And when I was faced with a near death, which is the near life experience, I made a decision to be of service to the world. And as time evolved, I got married. I had a child labeled with autism, and a couple of challenges, obviously, in relationship, all of those initiations that we face as being humans. I began my pursuit of trying to understand trauma, the shadow aspects, and just wanting to be a better human being. And in the process of healing from the wounds, of healing from the unmet healing available for someone that is present in the moment, a system called transcendental rebirthing was born. And it was all the things that I had gone through, all the teachings I had received from mentors, all the healing that I've done on myself and my family now became a system that I was able to rebirth corporations, people. And when I say rebirth, just to remove the woo-woo part, it was to be able to face the past, or to face the trauma, or to face the challenge, and be able to extract, like miners of prosperity, miners of achievement, miners of success, and extract the gold from that eerie moment and move forward and create new futures. Kind of to rebirth in the now. In the Bible and many scriptures says, like, unless a man is born twice, he will not get it, right? He will not ascend. And the born twice, it doesn't mean reincarnate or rebirth like in Buddhism. It means birth yourself anew, birth your relationship anew, birth your business, birth your prosperity, die unto the old beliefs of lack, rebirth yourself into prosperity, attuned with the frequency of God, which is prosperous, is abundant, is ever giving. So rebirthing came through that, and I was able, I told you, it was instantaneously. Coaches, atheists, all religions, people will come to me for personal coaching. I was in corporate coaching before. They will start falling, they will start getting dizzy, they will start falling in my lap. I thought I was going crazy. I was like, what the heck is going on? And as soon as I will touch them in the head, everyone, it didn't matter their background, their beliefs, if they believe in this or not, if they thought it was woo or not, they will go into fetal position and boom, start the whole process of literally physical rebirthing. Obviously, with COVID and all of that, I've stopped those, and those take such amount of energy. So I just do those really privately now, right? But it's more than 10,000 people now from all over the world, over traditions, religions, etc. And that was a mission that found me. I never thought I'm going to rebirth people. I wanted to have businesses, to be successful, to be a leader, to make money, to donate, to create, to write books, which were 17 books. But
yeah, it was 17. So everyone 10x what I said, please.
That, and create the network. The network of television is called the Network for Human Empowerment. That was it. That's the rebirthing, and being able to support people that have been in the most atrocious, dark things. I had one lady that works for the United Nations that she was, when she was 5, Colleen, she came to me for rebirthing. She wanted to heal from the trauma and to bring it, because she was working in very high leadership positions. And I have the permission to share the story without sharing her name. And when she was 5, she was from a country where if your skirt was shorter than, whatever it was, that, they were clothes all over her skirt, because she was growing taller and no one noticed. Her skirt was just above her ankle. When her uncle saw that, he called in for the family to punish her. And in front of the whole family, they removed her nails as a punishment, that she should never be teasing, she should never be like flirting. I'm 5 years old. So I've had in my arms, literally, in my body of awareness, in my possibilities of serving others, every single possible darkness, light of humanity. So when I get to serve people, I come from a space of really, I cannot judge. Neither the dark, neither the light. I come from a space of like, hopefully we can rebirth right now. We can create a new future and expand and use this catastrophe, this dead kind of experience that you are having to rebirth anew, which is what really was happened to me.
I love that you share that. There's so many things I love in that. I want to share something that was relevant for probably a lot of you listening. So this was something that really changed my life. I was having a conversation with someone, and I feel like this is why these conversations are so important, because when you can listen into something or have a conversation, there is like just this jolt of frequency that can shift you. And I remember I was talking about these addictive behaviors that I was having, and it was really more like codependency, my anxiety. I know a lot of you on here, you're addicted to wanting to succeed, overachieve, like not sit still, like find the love, like do the things, like you know that it's all happening, but you like don't want to actually do it for yourself. So I kind of like was really working through this. And this one person said, what I love, what I feel like leads to what you shared is, it's like, if I have to sit here in the fire while this burns inside of me, like the toxic coating, the toxic traits, so that I can come renewed, like that's what I'll sit here and do. And I remember like when I had that, and then I would like sit there and kind of being like going through that process, it brought me in many ways to what you've said, because I feel like in this life, it becomes more of a practice to rebirth yourself instead of just a one-time or two-time thing. Like it's constantly like, how do you die to the old self to bring into who I want to become? Because it's always a cycle. Like it's always like a flower, like it's always going through the seasons or the cycle. And you actually have total control over it. Like there's no one else that has control over it as much as you do. And so what I love about what you've shared, and I do agree, and a lot of you listening here, like, I think everyone's trying to find their purpose right now. Like it's a very big thing. Like I need to find my purpose. What's my purpose? I need clarity on my purpose. Like, what do I do? How do I find the thing? And I totally agree with you. Like, I feel like a lot of things just found me. Like, I remember when I needed to leave my corporate job, and I was like, I just need to leave it. And then I had no idea I could even get a visa, because I thought in America you needed a corporate job or like a school, because America mindset was like, it's so hard to get a visa. So like, I didn't even know I could get a visa to live somewhere at like 21 years old. So then it just came to me, the New Zealand visa, and I just did that and I followed through. And then you kind of like these other things, but they do just find you on this journey. And it's just incredible because you've done so many things. And I think most people think from a younger perspective, like people listening to this 18, 19, 20, they're like, oh, well, she's 50. She probably like sat there and mapped it out one day. And it was never like that. You know what I'm saying? Like even if Yvonne tried to sit there and be like, let me put this on a piece of paper, like there's no way you even knew what you knew now. Like there's no way you knew that a network was possible. There's no way you knew 17 books. There's no way you knew that like the transgender rebirthing, like 10,000, like who even thinks of being like, I would touch 10,000 people. Like that's not even a thought when you're in your 20s or 30s. Like you're just, like, that's just not even, it seems so intangible. You know, it seems like it's something that's so far away, or 17 books. Like that seems so intangible. Like that seems like, but even if you were to go back, and this is why I don't really love the whole goal setting, like you couldn't, if you would have written a goal, you would have limited yourself. You would have sat there and you would like, I'm going to write a goal. Here's the goal.
Every time. So
I just love that about you. There's so many avenues with it. And I think for people listening, what I want you to take through with it is whether it's spirituality or channeling or trying to figure out what the next point in your life is, like, I really feel like it starts with looking inward, and it is painful at first, like kind of what we've alluded to, like it is going through rebirth. And for so long, we've created these defense mechanisms to not have to be present with what was. And I think probably both you and I can relate to that. I mean, even with different things, like sometimes something so painful is happening, you begin just to live with it and integrate it as a habit. And you don't even realize how traumatic the habit is that you're living with and how unnormal it is to what the bliss and joy and all of it can be. But when you do that, much like finance, you compound that in your body, just like you're compounding finance and over a lifetime. When you do that, it is painful because you're ripping off at looking at the way you've self-betrayed yourself and the way that you've self-abandoned yourself. And you've got to look at how to accept, return to wholeness, and integrate this actual being that you really are. And I think you've done that so beautifully, and you do it with so many people.
Yeah. And you know that the return to wholeness, you know, it's a lot of people think they have to do that return. It's the undoing. What we really do is an undoing. It's a letting go. It's a returning to that empty space. It's called in Sanskrit or Tibetan Buddhism, it's called sunyata, the space of emptiness, the space where everything emerges from and it returns to. Like every day the sun comes up, every day the sun goes down, right? Like it's a new day, it's a death of the old and a rebirth of the new every single moment. That's the power of the now. But it really is more, the doing needs to be like a pause, you know, pause to undo, right? And that's a challenging concept to even grasp for especially overachievers. Like, what do you mean I have to stop doing? No, you don't stop doing your activities, your duties of everyday living, of like paying your bills, feeding your child, doing your work, doing your services, render your offers, right? That it's our duty of anyone here in humanity to do your work. To do your work, it's our duty to do our services, offer our services, but it's an undoing of who we think we are, and leave that white canvas empty. That's how you design the new. That's how you architect reality. That's how you build brilliancy, and without attachment. Without attachment, which we attach because we want things to be as we want, and it's a past thought. As soon as we're attached, we are creating more of the past.
Yeah. So
as soon as I know where I'm going, I now know where I'm going. I'm in the now. There is that's an expansive space that opens up for us to, you know, what the goal setting that you were saying, like when I had the car incident, I said, okay, what am I going to do? It was like, I'm going to do public speaking. That's where my public speaking gig. I'm going to do public speaking for children in school, telling them to put their seatbelt. I've done nothing of that except that my public speaking grew, you know, now it like big audiences, or like now it's a keynote speaker invitation. Like I have a TEDx talk coming in November that I had to postpone in May, but you know, it's that I with the seatbelt that I'm now delivering to people is like, you know, where, you know, just be yourself, just, you know, restore faith in yourself and let go, you know. So I will not have what you said. I will not have been able to plan the greatness that God had already prepared if I chose to do the work.
Yeah. And I want to go two things. Or one, I had a thought the other day, actually, I was really looking, or I think I said it maybe on a live, but I was saying one thing that has been a challenge for me is I can get very attached to moments in time. And so there's past moments in time I've been very attached to, or I get very like I want to multiply that experience or that thing again and again. But the person or the thing that I experienced that moment with is unhealthy sustainably in my life. And so when you go through that to begin living an uncompromised life, you have to begin to unravel these memories and unravel what the memory was, why the memory was so important, and how do you then recreate a better best case scenario memory for the future. And I love, because you said something similar to that, but the other thread that I wanted to tie into with that is this part of the overachiever, because there's so many who are like in their 20s, like myself, and we're going, and that's never going to stop. But one thing that really transitioned or I've been aligning to is like relaxed achievement. Can you do it in a
I
state
love
of
that.
relaxation? Like, can you do it in a state of, okay, I'm not in a rush. Can I check myself? Am I functioning at a high capacity, a high anxiety capacity when I'm not even realizing it's anxiety? Okay, where do I need to surrender? Okay, from that surrendered, can I get to a relaxed state to then do the action? And when I've been like doing my or taking myself through this practice, it's been interesting the massive shifts that I've been receiving. And like with 50% of my client base being men, which is really unlike people in the online woman and I mean really male, you know, in the online industry. Like when you have that, it's like these men that have come into my field that have been like, wow, I'm listening to you channeling. Wow, I'm listening to your meditations. Like, wow, thank you so much. Like, I love your things on relationship. It's because I've now relaxed and calm. So the men feel safe to land.
You are speaking about, in Zen traditions, in Chan Buddhism, this is the Tao. This is it says, there's a saying that says the sage accomplishes everything without doing nothing. Obviously, he's not going to be sitting down on a sofa eating pizza, playing Nintendo when he's 45 years old, but it's a real, what you just said, I love the relaxed doing, it's like, it's a relaxation. I call it hustle and zen. It's a really being present in the moment, because if I'm present in the moment, I'm relaxed. I'm doing the task ahead. Like Jesse, it's like one of my mentors. He always says, to have your feet, be where your feet are, be where your task is, do what you need to do in the moment. And then, you expand that moment. But I love how you bring relaxation. For me, I've been able to, and I have not even reached the surface of all the things that I'm still, unfolding, and I still want to create as long as I'm alive and I'm capable of doing so. But it's been the ability to slow down inside while being active on the outside that has me achieve without sacrificing myself in the process, because that is not a price that I'm willing to pay ever. I rather sacrifice the external achievements if it's going to cost me who I am. And in relaxation, in presence, I am going to be so present. I'm going to be more productive, more results oriented, more expansive. And those moments, that you want to maximize from the past, you will create new memories. You will take the best of the past, the golden nuggets, apply it in your future, which is now, and create more memories of expansion with the right people this time, with the right associations. And those who were not that right at the moment, you're going to say, thank you, and let go and let God.
And I love what you shared, because I think a lot of people who are here in the corporate realm are doing a job they don't like kind of for money, that will catch up to you. It is a sacrifice. It is you not being who you are for something. And there will be a health impact in the long term. So I love that you brought that up. And I think just to close it out, because you said so many things, so I don't want to like overwhelm everyone. I was like, but I know that you are, I think, writing another book. You're in the process, or where can people find you? What's on the horizon?
Well, the new book is really the body of work of 20 years. Is coming next year. I cannot say the name yet, but it's coming, and it is very much in the alignment of what we're sharing. Like, how do you relax and still and not sacrifice the overachieving? Like, I will never want Colleen just to always be saying, I'm so excited to be in your energy field. I think it's far much more conscious in the way you create in prosperity, but how do we do it and still master the use of our nervous system and master the awareness of the now? I'm all for mastery. So that book is coming out. My website and everything, I don't know when your podcast is coming out, is being rebranded based on the book. It's 2022. They can find me in all social media with my name, Yvonne De La Flor. In delaflorteachings.com is my website. Everything is going to be new very soon. I'm always in the process of rebirthing, right? Of letting go and polishing the diamonds from the charcoals of experience. So that's where they can find me. I'm in Instagram, not in all of the platforms that Colleen is, but I'm there. And my podcast, I have a podcast called Sovereign Futures. You've been a guest on that is about to be rebranded and birthed into a new name. I can give you the exclusive of the name now because I want to invite you back. The podcast is going to be called Spirituality Now. So, and it's all matching the whole, my intuition of the next plans that I have for 10 years plus into my life now that I'm going to turn 50, and I'm a proud ancestors for the future generation, hope to earn that right. And yeah, so that's it. You have the exclusive. No one else knows.
I love
except you.
And I just want to say, like, thank you so much, you guys. For those of you listening and tuning in, you may not know because you're just starting on your spiritual journey. For those of you tuning in, but to have access to someone like Yvonne, I don't even know if you can fully understand it if you haven't really been on the journey of what this woman has studied, where she has traveled to, who she has literally received frequency from, of, I mean, lifetimes of access. So to be able to receive a frequency from someone like Yvonne is just on so many levels. You're almost like equivalently to like a Jeff Bezos frequency of business in a way, like, you know, of books, like doing books in this, like, it's a very, like, if you had to put a esoteric, tangible way to it, that's what I would describe it as. So I think you're welcome. And I think just each of you listening, really like re-listen to it. There's a lot in here, so it's going to take you a couple times for it to set in. But I'm so grateful. And I'll leave all of her information in the details. And then also I'll say Yvonne has a phenomenal 888 program, which is what I've done twice. And I'll probably do it again. And my mom has done it. Like, it is like one of the
I
best.
love your mom. You know, and that's like a one-on-one coaching program that I developed through the pandemic and everything to support leaders that already know where they're going on one-on-one. So,
and it's a great place for you to start if you're kind of just dipping your toes into this. It's a great place to start and
thank you.
Really go off the deep end. So anyway, I love you all so much. Thank you for tuning in, and make sure if you enjoy this, please leave a review, share it with your friends. That way we can have it more people tuning in to receive the frequency. So I love you guys so much and enjoy your day.